In the first YouTube on this channel, we built the Angular To application with Firefly Semantics Slice. Now we're going to add search to it. So here's our final product, and we'll go ahead and add a few to-dos. First to-do, second to-do, like that. And if we search first, we see that our result list gets filtered. And so this is what we're going to be building. We are going to build this on top of the previous app we built. So let's go to fireflysemantics.com and click on search. And then we'll search for slice to do, and we'll select that. And we're going to go down and find our Stackblitz. Open that up and click on fork to create a new version. And this is what we'll use to start our build with. Now, as always, I've linked the written tutorial for this and the final Stackblitz in the description below. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to take snippets from the Stackblitz and we're going to copy them over, and then I'll explain as we're going along. In order to do the search, we're going to be using Lunr. So the first thing we're going to do is go to dependencies and we'll type in Lunr like that, and also types/Lunr. And the first thing we're going to do is update the state service. So we'll go ahead and import Lunr first. So we'll just grab the import from here and go to our state service and copy it in like that. Next thing we're going to do is initialize the query on the to-do store. And so we're going to go down to the constructor here, and we'll go ahead and do that here. So I'll go ahead and go to the demo, copy in the to-do store query initialization, come here and just copy that in like that. And the reason we want to initialize the query property on the to-do store is we want the observable that's tied to this to fire right away the first time we try to use it, and therefore we have to initialize it. Now we want to use this query value in the expression that creates the selected to-dos for us, and that's this right here. And what we want to do is we want to add the query observable at the bottom in here. And so we're going to go ahead and go copy in our code for that. This. And we'll just copy over this. And now we've seen that we've added the to-do store's observable right there, and it's also been added to this array here, but we also have to update the apply filter method so that this error goes away. So here's our apply filter, and we are going to be adding the query to the functionality of this. So let's go ahead and copy that in. We'll go here to apply filter, copy it, and come here, paste that in. And we can see now that we have the query at the bottom here. And if the query value is defined, instead of just returning, for example, complete to-dos, we're going to go ahead and search the complete to-dos using the query, and we're going to return the result of that. So that is the difference from before and after. Before we can do the search, we need a search index. And so we initialize a search index using this function here, and we can see that we're passing in the to-dos that we want to index. And then we're going to use Lunr to create the index here. The first call we make in our callback function is this.ref, and we pass in the GID string. And the reason we need to call this is all of our to-dos are identified by their global ID. And so by passing this in here, we're telling Lunr that each to-do entity is identified by its global ID. Next, we need to tell Lunr what we want to index. And we're going to go ahead and index on the complete field and the title field. Finally, we need to add all the to-dos we're going to index, and we do that in this loop right here. And that's it. We now have our index. So we're going to go ahead and copy this over. So let's go ahead and copy and go down here, and we'll just paste it in here. And now that we have the index, we can create the search function. So we'll go ahead and copy this over first, and then we'll go over how it works. So the way the search function works is we pass in our query and we pass in the to-dos. And the first thing we do is we create an index using our initialized search index, passing the to-dos. And then once we have the index, we can search using it, and we call search on the index itself. pass in the query, and then we get an index result. And the index result only contains the global IDs of the to-dos that matched the search query. So we have to go ahead and map the index result to the actual to-dos, and the way we do that is we use our to-do store and we use find one, and we look up each to-do using the ref property on the result. And so that's what actually creates the to-do array that matches the search. In case you want to learn more about how Lunr works with respect to this mapping business, we're going to link a guide in the description below for that as well. The last method that we need to grab is the Onsearch method. And this is a method that is going to be bound to our component, and it's going to capture the query entered into the input field of the search component. And then we're going to go ahead and set the query property on our to-do store using whatever the user put in. So let's go ahead and copy this guy over. There. Okay, now we have all of the pieces that our state service needs, and as we can see, there aren't any errors, so we have copied everything over correctly. Now that our service is done, we can go ahead and add our search components. So let's go ahead and do search.components.ts. So we're going to add that to our components folder there, and we'll go ahead and copy the contents. And the way this component works is we have a input field, and we see that here, and we have key up events. And so whenever we have a key up event, we're going to go ahead and call this search method here. And another thing we've done is we've bound the value of this input to the to-do store's query property. That way, if the user navigates away from the component and comes back, this component will always have the latest query initialized in its value field. And within the search method of our search component, we get the query right here, and then we go ahead and get the value from the element. And so first we grab the element, and then we go ahead and grab the input value from the element, and then we call onSearch using our state service, and that passes in the search value to the to-do entity store, and that'll trigger the observable, which in turn will trigger the query to be executed. So we have the component, but we need to add it to our module before we can use it. So let's go ahead and go here, app module, go to the bottom of declarations, copy that in, and we need to import it as well. Okay, so now it's in our module. Okay, so we're done with the search component, and we've added it to our app module. So now we can go ahead and put it in our application. So we'll go to app.component.html and add it below the add to do component, like that. And now if we open up our app, we see that we have search working. So let's go ahead and try adding a few to-dos. First to-do, second to-do, and let's filter it by search first. And that's it. We have search working in our to-do app. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed creating it, and we will see you in the next one. Before we leave, I just wanted to mention one little thing. The first time I did this, when I opened the console here, I saw a async pipe not found error. So if you happen to get that, just leave Stackblitz like this, go back out, find the app on your profile, and then click on it and let the whole thing rebuild, and that'll fix that error.